The transfer portal only opened up yesterday, but there are already a number of really intriguing quarterback names that have put their name into the portal. If I were to guess, there's going to be a lot more that enter in the coming days and weeks, but as of right now, the quarterbacks in the transfer portal are absolutely loaded. Before we get to today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel, so make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. We'll start with former Tulane quarterback Darien Mena. This past season as a sophomore, he completed 66% of his passes while throwing for 2,700 yards. He had 22 passing touchdowns with only 6 interceptions. According to ESPN, he's receiving interest in programs in the ACC and the SEC, and he already has a scheduled visit to Duke. Up next, we have former Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold. There was a lot of hype surrounding him entering the 2024 season, but to say his year was a letdown, that is quite the understatement. He appeared in 10 games, completing only 62% of his passes while throwing for 1,400 yards. He had 12 passing touchdowns to go along with 3 interceptions. He did do some decent damage on the ground as he ran for just under 500 yards with 3 rushing scores. Now, the reason he's transferring out is because I think there's going to be another quarterback that's going to be transferring in Washington State quarterback John Mateer, though he hasn't officially entered the transfer portal yet, but there are a lot of rumors saying that's where he's going to end up. So Jackson Arnold is going to have to look for his new program. According to numerous reports out there, people are expecting Jackson Arnold to end up at Mississippi State. Another quarterback that had a lot of expectations entering the season was Texas A&M quarterback Connor Weigman. This was his 3rd season with the Aggies, but 2024 was finally going to be the season in which he emerged as one of the better quarterbacks in the country. He appeared in only 6 games, completing 56% of his passes. He threw for 800 yards with 3 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He also added over 100 yards on the ground as well. Based on what I've seen out there, it looks like Houston has the most interest in bringing him in. A pretty notable name that entered the portal last week was Liberty quarterback Kaden Salter. In 2023, he emerged as one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the country as he earned Conference USA MVP honors. In 2023, he threw for just under 3,000 yards and had 32 passing touchdowns with only 6 interceptions. He also added over 1,000 yards on the ground with 12 rushing scores. Now, his numbers did take a step back in 2024, but that might be because he played in 3 fewer games. He threw for 1,900 yards with 15 passing touchdowns and had 6 interceptions. He also added 600 yards on the ground with 7 rushing scores. Overall for his career, he has 6,500 total yards and 66 total touchdowns, so he's one of the more accomplished quarterbacks that is currently in the transfer portal. According to 24/7 Sports, Salter plans to visit Syracuse this week and is already planning on taking future visits at Colorado and Florida State. It looks like Chandler Morris is going to move on to his 4th school after spending last season in North Texas. He debuted in 2020 with Oklahoma, then spent his next 3 seasons at TCU, but he finally got his opportunity to be a full-time starter in 2024 with North Texas. He had quite the season as he threw for over 3,700 yards and had 31 passing touchdowns. Morris led the American Conference and was 5th in the country in passing yards. He also led the American Conference in passing touchdowns and was 4th in the country. According to reports, he's set to visit Oklahoma State soon, and a lot of people are expecting him to end up with the Cowboys as their next starting quarterback. After a really rough ending to his Boston College career, Thomas Castellanos put his name into the transfer portal. He appeared in 8 games this season for Boston College, throwing for 1,400 yards with 18 passing touchdowns. He completed 61% of his passes and had 5 interceptions. He also added 200 yards on the ground with a rushing score. Castellanos broke out in 2023 with Boston College. He threw for 2,300 yards and had 15 passing touchdowns while adding over 1,100 yards on the ground with 13 rushing scores. He looked like he was going to become one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in all of college football, but whatever happened at Boston College, it ended his tenure back in November. According to reports, it looks like he's set to take a visit at Florida State later this week. There are also reports that he's set to meet with Missouri and Vanderbilt at some point as well. This might be a name you forgot about, but former UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka is in the transfer portal. If you remember, he kind of quit on UNLV back earlier in the season when there was a dispute over an NIL issue. The rising 6-year senior was a 2-time finalist for the Walter Payton Award, the FCS equivalent of the Heisman. In his 4 seasons at Holy Cross, he threw for 6,000 yards while rushing for 3,600. He had 97 touchdowns in only 41 games. At UNLV, he led the program to their first 3-0 start since 1984. In those 3 games, he threw for over 300 yards and had 250 rushing yards with 7 total touchdowns. Like I said though, he kind of quit on his team earlier in the season, so it'll be interesting to see which which team is potentially willing to bring him on. After spending 3 years as the backup quarterback at Ohio State, Devin Brown put his name into the transfer portal. He was the 6th ranked quarterback in the 2022 recruiting class, but he just never has been able to win the job. He sat behind Kyle McCord last year, and he sat behind Will Howard this year. Overall, Brown appeared in 8 games this season, completing only 10 of 19 passes for 100 yards. Outside of making one start last year in the Cotton Bowl against Missouri, we really haven't seen Brown given a full opportunity just yet. Now, he was ranked as one of the top quarterback recruits for a reason, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes and how he would look at a new program. Florida International quarterback Keon Jenkins put his name into the portal. This past season, he appeared in 12 games, completing 62% of his passes. He threw for over 2,500 yards and had 22 passing touchdowns with 8 interceptions. He was arguably the best quarterback in Conference USA this year, so it'll be interesting to see if he remains at a Group of 5 team or if he's able to make the jump up to the Power 4. After spending 3 seasons at Stanford, Ashton is now in the portal. He took a bit of a step back in 2024 after a pretty solid 2023 campaign. This past season, he threw for 1,700 yards and had 10 passing touchdowns, but he did have 12 interceptions. He did add 700 yards on the ground and had 3 rushing scores. Overall, during his career at Stanford, he's thrown for 4,000 yards with 21 passing touchdowns while adding over 1,100 yards on the ground with 9 rushing scores. According to reports, it looks like Auburn could be the potential frontrunner to land Daniels. After being around for quite some time, it looks like we're going to get one more season of Jacob Zeno. He debuted all the way back in 2019 with Baylor, where he spent 3 seasons. He's now spent the last 3 seasons with UAB, but he's got one more in him. He appeared in only 4 games this past year, completing 70% of his passes for 800 yards and 6 passing touchdowns. His best season by far was in 2023. He appeared in 11 games where he completed 74% of his passes. He threw for over 3,100 yards and had 20 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns. According to reports, it looks like the favorite to land him is going to be Texas A&M. Well, those are just a number of the quarterbacks who have already put their name into the transfer portal. Like I said earlier, the portal only opened up yesterday, so if I were to guess, we're going to get a lot more quarterback names that enter in the coming days and the coming weeks. Of the names that are currently in the transfer portal, who do you think is the best? And what program do you think they should transfer to in 2025? Also, is there a quarterback I didn't mention that is in the transfer portal that you think is worthy of being discussed? Whoever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos all off season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm, and it helps share this video and my channel with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.